Today we're going to be making fingerless gloves. This is using a seed stitch type pattern where we just alternate a single crochet and a double crochet throughout the entire project. So it's super easy, super quick, and you can make a pair of these in less than a day. For this tutorial, I am going to be using Impeccable by Lion Brand in this nice blue color. This is called Bright Sky Blue. It's a 4-weight acrylic yarn, a 5mm crochet hook. You'll also need scissors, a yarn needle, and a few stitch markers so you can mark the placement of the thumb. You can use any size weight yarn that you want and any corresponding hook that you want. This pattern is completely customizable. We're just going to be making a rectangle shape, folding it over, seaming it on the side, leaving that space for your thumb. So it's super quick, customizable. You can make these for anyone. So let's jump right into the tutorial. To start, we want a slip knot on our hooks, and you're going to want an odd number of chains to start. So any odd number of chain. The chain length that we're doing is going to be the length from your wrist up to the top of your fingerless glove. So it's going to be this length from here to here. I'll put it on so you can see. So from the very bottom to the top where your fingers are. So from your wrist to your fingers. For mine, I like to chain 27. But again, you can chain any odd number of chains. This is an easy 2-row repeat, although you're just really repeating an alternate of single, double, single, double. So to start, in that first chain away from your hook, we're going to place a single crochet. In the next chain, we're going to place a double crochet. In the next chain, a single crochet. And in the next chain, a double crochet. In the next, a single. And in the next, a double. So you're just going to repeat single, double, all the way across until you get to the very end. Your last stitch should be a double crochet. So I'm going to keep working my single, double, single, double pattern all the way down my chain. I've got one chain left. I just worked a single crochet, which means the last one is a double crochet. So that first row 1 in every odd row starts with a single crochet in the top first stitch. Row 2 in every even row starts with a chain 1, turn, and in that same stitch we're going to work a double crochet. So we're working a double crochet over our double crochets from the previous row. That next stitch is our worked over our single crochet, and it's going to be a single crochet. So you work a single crochet over the top of your single crochet. Next stitch we work a double crochet. Next stitch a single crochet. Next stitch double crochet, and so on. So you're just alternating double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and then a single crochet. So row 2, you start with a double crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the next, double in the next, single in the next, and you just repeat that all the way across. On row 2, you should end with a single crochet. So I just worked a double crochet. I've got one stitch on the very end left, and I'm going to work a single crochet. So on the rows where you start with a double crochet, you want to make sure that you're ending with a single crochet. On the rows that you start with a single crochet, you're going to want to end with a double crochet into that last stitch of that row. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1. And those chain 1s don't count as anything, they're just kind of to get us up to the next row. This is an odd number, this is row 3, so odd number rows we always start with a single crochet. So work a single crochet in that first stitch, and then work a double crochet into the next, single crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and so on. And that is the pattern. You're just going to alternate rows 2 and 3. You can end this project on an even row, an odd row. It doesn't matter. You just want to get up to about 7 inches, 8 inches for an adult, or much smaller for a child. And you're just going to continue working that for as long as you need your fabric to wrap around your hand and your wrist. So it's a super easy pattern, and it works up really quick. You can make a pair of these in less than a day. I'm going to go ahead and continue working this up, and I will be back in just a second to show you how to seam it up and finish our fingerless glove. Once you've worked up a number of rows until your desired length, now this length is going to go around your wrist like this, so you can place your hand and your wrist as you're working to see approximately how many rows you need to continue to add. For me, my length is going to be about 7 inches, give or take. This is going to depend and be a different number for everybody. Everybody has different size wrists, but generally it's between 7 and 8 inches for an adult, quite a bit smaller for a child. At this point, we're going to prepare our fabric to be sewn up on the side. I'm going to grab my stitch markers and place my wrist on the very edge just going to flip it so it's easier. Wrap the fabric around my hand, and I have not fastened off. You can fasten off at this point, you just need to leave a very long tail. You want to match up those two corners with your thumb out, and then pull up on the other end. And this, we're going to create the thumb hole. So right at the base of the thumb, I'm going to pinch the two pieces of fabric together and carefully take my hand out, and I'm just going to place a stitch marker through all of those stitches so I know as I'm sewing along not to sew from this point to here. You can put your hand in again and do the same for the thumb, and you can do this in any order. So I just like to get that point set first Do the same thing for the other side of your thumb. Place your stitch marker. And now you have 2 stitch markers. This we're going to leave open, and we're going to sew from this stitch marker down and from this stitch marker down. So here's where I ended. I'm going to go ahead, fasten off my yarn, leaving quite a bit of a tail just to give myself some extra length in sewing. I'm going to go ahead, pull this all through, tighten that up, and weave the ends together. So you want to take your needle I'm going to turn mine around so it's easier for me to work right to left. If it's easier for you to work left to right, you can do that. And you just don't want to sew in between those 2 stitch markers. So when I get to this point, I just weave along on one side and then I continue on the other side. And you can sew this together in any way that you want. You can use the whip stitch, you can sew it however you want to sew, however you like best. Just like that. Now I'm going to leave this undone. So I'm just going to go on the inside of one side, so I have only gone through that back panel. And I'm just going to kind of weave my yarn on that back panel only till I get to the other side where my other stitch marker. I'm going to take this stitch marker out now. I'm still holding the 2 sides together there, so I know where I need to go into. And now you've got your seam done for your mitten. If you want to go back over it again, you can. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of weave in this yarn on this end. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. This is where I started. I've got this tail from my foundation chain. I can use that to kind of seam up those 2 edges even more if I want. However, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a V there, a little divot, if that's something that you want. So I'm going to go ahead, finish seaming up my 2 ends, weaving in my ends, and I will be right back. And now I have a super comfy and cozy fingerless glove. I just love the pattern on this. You've got those nice dense stitches, but it's super easy. You're just doing an alternating single crochet and double crochet stitch. And the best part is you can customize it. You can use any yarn. It's a quick, easy project. Makes great gifts for the holidays as well. And you can customize it with a fun applique on the top. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Happy crocheting. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.